I was reincarnated as a snake, but I found myself soaking in herbal liquor. In the vat, besides me, there were several other roommates. They were a toad, a gecko, a scorpion, and a centipede. Judging from the situation, the person brewing the liquor was obviously making 5-poison wine. As I was pondering how to escape, a sudden wave of intense hunger hit my stomach. I really couldn't hold out anymore, so I had no choice but to set my gaze on those already lifeless roommates. Fighting back the urge to vomit, I swallowed them one by one. The moment the last centipede slid down my throat, a sudden burst of light exploded in my mind. Ding! Host devouring detected. A devouring evolution system has awakened in one life form. Devouring earns energy points. Energy points can be distributed among strength, speed, defense, toxicity, and HP, the 5 basic stats. Maxing out the stats enables evolution. System? I was stunned for a moment. Then I was ecstatic. Reincarnation was one thing, but I actually got a cheat system. A system. First, it boosted my venom strength by 5 times. But even so, facing this huge wine vat, I still had no way out. The vat wall was slick. The liquor was viscous. There was no way I could climb up. Just as I was in a panic, I heard footsteps approaching from outside the door. Someone was coming. I quickly sank into the liquor and played dead motionless. A middle-aged man pushed the door open and came in. It was none other than Joe Old Third, the owner of this winery. He leaned over the vat for a look inside. His brows furrowed instantly. That's odd. Why is there only a snake left? He scratched his head, muttering, tomorrow's the delivery date. Looks like I'll have to catch 4 more poisons to make up for it. Saying that, he reached out and lifted the vat lid. This is my chance. I suddenly raised my head and spit a concentrated stream of venom right into his face. Joe Old Third screamed in agony, clutching his face. I seized the moment and climbed up the vat rim, darting toward the door at top speed. I burst out of the Joe family winery. The sunlight outside almost made me dizzy. I used a bit of energy to activate the system's radar function. Around me was a residential area. 1 kilometer away from Liuhua town were endless mountains. The green outline stretched along the skyline. As long as I could get there, I'd be free. But there were several busy main roads in between. A snake crossing the street in daylight is basically a death sentence. I could only wait for dark to make a move, so I hid in a roadside bush for now. Not long after, I heard Joe Old Third screaming like a pig from the winery direction. It drew the neighbors to come crowd around. When they heard a venomous snake had escaped, someone immediately pulled out their phone and dialed 119. About 10 minutes later, several firefighters arrived with 2 search and rescue dogs. The search dogs' noses were no joke. As soon as I smelled them getting closer, I squirmed quickly and slipped into a nearby hole. To my surprise, another snake was inside. One of my kind. Although hunger made me want to swallow it right there, on second thought, letting it take the fall for me was a better plan. I quickly spat venom to paralyze it, then dragged it inch by inch to the hole's entrance. Moments later, excited barking exploded outside, followed by shouts of "We got it!" They caught it as the shouting faded away. It grew quiet outside. I let out a sigh of relief. Crisis averted for now. Night finally fell. I slipped out of the hole, staring at the dark outline of the distant Canyon mountain. Hunger gnawed at my belly again. Luckily, a mouse nearby was digging in the dirt. Oh, little mouse, you're just so cute. How could I possibly let you go? Got it in 1 strike. But eating whole like a snake really made me uncomfortable. The feeling of an entire mouse stuck in my throat was simply unbearable. I couldn't help but think, if only I had teeth to chew. Ding Ho's strong desire for organ transformation detected. Enabling body organ transformation function. Every 10 energy points can be exchanged for 1 evolution point. With enough points, you can redeem the organs you desire. The system shop appeared at once. A dazzling array of modification options left me speechless. Fangs, dragon scales, dragon horns, dragon wings, and even the ultimate option, boldly labeled Dragon Transformation. My heart was pounding. I wanted to unlock everything right away. But with my current energy reserves, these were all out of reach for now. For the next 8 hours, I went wild hunting mice, bugs, other snakes, and frogs. Nothing was off limits. Finally, I harvested 400 energy points, all exchanged for 40 evolution points. After maxing out my 5 basic stats, ding congratulations host, first evolution complete. A wave of searing pain tore through me. It felt like my body was being reshaped by some invisible force. A few minutes later, the pain faded away. I could clearly feel I'd become longer and thicker. Rank up successful. Host's current stage, Beast Level 2. At level 10, you can ascend to Variant Beast. The following ranks are Beast Soldier, Beast General, and Beast King. After understanding the ranks, I slithered to the roadside under cover of night, ready to cross. Just as I reached the middle of the road, an engine suddenly roared behind me. I turned my head to see a motorcycle speeding straight at me. A blonde kid was riding with a girl behind him. They were insanely fast. The girl was screaming and filming with her phone, not noticing the snake in the road at all. I was about to become roadkill. I dug deep and coiled into a powerful leap. My entire body sailed through the air, just barely reaching the other side. Damn! The blonde kid hit the brakes hard, leaving a skid mark on the ground. The girl's phone was still up, her trembling voice saying, "Whoa." I caught it on camera. That's an anaconda. Both of them immediately reviewed the video, and confirming it was a giant snake, called the news hotline right away. The next day, the media went wild with the story. Liuhua town distiller bitten by his own poisonous snake soaking for 2.5 years. Tests showed the venom was 5 times stronger than normal. Experts suspected a genetic mutation. The comments section exploded. Netizens jumped in with heated debate. Because animal mutation incidents were on the rise lately, someone had filmed a chicken dancing and singing upright. Others saw a centipede with a human face. And some even claimed to spot a giant 9-tailed fox deep in the mountains. Online discussions swirled endlessly. Curiosity and fear mixed together. Meanwhile, I had entered the dense canyon mountain forest. After trekking for 2 days, my stomach was completely empty. I activated the system radar to scan the surroundings. Not far ahead, inside a cave, hundreds of white dots crowded together. A snake den. After devouring over 100 snakes, I gained a full 90 evolution points. Enough to advance 2 levels in a row. I found a hidden corner. I started breaking through continuously, but the system popped up a cold notice. Warning, host currently has 5 years of lifespan remaining. Breaking through to Beast Soldier level within 5 years can extend lifespan by 10 years. My heart sank. Looks like I need to speed up evolution. The next day, I soaked in the stream for a bath, then climbed onto a large rock on the shore to dry off. Sunlight streamed through the tree canopy, warm and cozy, made me a little sleepy. Suddenly, a shadow swept across the sky, accompanied by a sharp sound effect. A massive eagle was circling high above. Its sharp gaze was locked onto me. I stirred inside. I didn't run. Instead, I stayed completely still. Although I can't fly, I have 3-dimensional radar. On the radar, the eagle's flight path was fully revealed. It circled twice, so I didn't react at all. Finally couldn't hold back. Tucked its wings, dived down like a sharp arrow, within 5 meters as it approached me. I suddenly raised my head, spat venom precisely, right into its eyes. The eagle let out a piercing, tragic scream. Its flight path instantly shifted. I seized this fleeting opportunity, sprang my whole body upward, bit down firmly on its neck. Even in death, it wouldn't understand. As the sky's predator, how it ended up getting counter-killed by a snake. After swallowing the eagle, I was digesting its energy, but a strong sense of crisis suddenly surged in my heart. Opened the radar again. 5 blue dots were closing in on my location. On the radar, red means critical danger. Blue means significant threat. Yellow is evenly matched. White is no threat at all. I couldn't tell what was coming, but blue indicates I can't let my guard down. Survival comes first. I quickly slipped into the bush by the river. A kilometer away, 5 men were searching the mountains with 2 hunting dogs. They soon arrived at the riverbank. Through the gaps in the branches, I got a clear look at their gear. Snake hooks, snake cages, protective suits, first aid kits. All professionally equipped. They were 5 snake catchers. From their conversation, I overheard some key info. That Professor Shen offered 500,000 yuan. Just for a mutated snake? Is it worth it? A short, stocky man muttered. The bearded leader shot him a glare. Enough talk, 500,000. Is enough for you to work 10 years. Even the Biology Institute of CAS sent people over. So this snake must be special. Get your head in the game. They're here for me. I calmed myself, started planning in my mind. 5 versus 1 in a head-on fight is clearly impossible. But if I take them out one by one, after all, I used to be a snake catcher in my past life. I deeply understand their tactics and weaknesses. Although I was a snake catcher before, I've never held a snake hook in my current snake body. But from another perspective, I understand a hunter's mindset better than anyone. I noticed one of them gradually fell behind, getting about 10 meters away from the rest. The opportunity arrived. I silently darted out from the bush, bit his arm like lightning, injected venom. Before he could even scream, he collapsed. I let go and turned away, instantly disappeared deep into the grass. The others reacted quickly, fired 2 shots in the direction I vanished. Shotguns. A few pellets hit me, just hurt a little. Didn't even break my scales. They left 1 person to look after the injured. The other 3 and the dogs chased after me. The 2 hunting dogs were fastest. I deliberately slowed down, led them step by step into the dense forest. By the time the snake catchers arrived, both dogs were lying on the ground, never moving again. The bearded leader's face was livid with rage, gritted his teeth. I'm going to skin this beast alive. The 3 kept searching. I used the same trick again, targeted the very last one, attacked again. After succeeding, quickly disappeared behind a big tree. A young man immediately wanted to rush over. Bearded leader grabbed him. Are you looking to die? That beast clearly has intelligence now. It's just trying to take us down one by one. The young man snapped back to his senses after being yelled at, and calmed down. Quickly crouched to tend to the injured. But just then, 2 gunshots rang out from a distance, followed by a piercing scream. The last 2 immediately turned pale. 5 men wounded. If the last 3 don't retreat, they'll probably all die here. Retreat, quick retreat. The bearded leader no longer cared about the reward, hoisted the injured and ran down the mountain. I didn't chase them, looking down at the items they dropped in panic. I suddenly noticed next to the scattered first aid kit, a red fruit about the size of a fist. Its surface glowed faintly. The moment I saw it, inside me rose an intense, instinctive urge to devour. I immediately used the system scanner. Blood spirit fruit, a rare fruit packed with spiritual energy. Consuming it grants 10,000 energy points. 10,000? I was overjoyed, grabbed the fruit and left. This is a battlefield. Definitely not a safe place. Have to find a hidden spot to eat it. But just as I turned, a gunshot came from behind. The man I'd seriously injured before actually managed to raise his hunting rifle. But his mind was blurry. Hand was trembling. Only 3 pellets grazed my back. Scales cracked. Blood poured out. The piercing pain made me groan. Clutched the fruit and fled desperately. The other 2 uninjured men doubled back, chasing after me from afar. I gritted my teeth, dove straight into the lake nearby. Endured the pain, swam with all my might. The water was icy for hundreds of meters. My wounds burned from the soaking. Don't know how long passed. My vision got blurrier. My consciousness began to fade. In a daze, I saw a bamboo raft up ahead. Used my last bit of strength to climb aboard. Then I blacked out. The blood spirit fruit in my mouth was instinctively swallowed as I lost consciousness. Though my body was completely limp, a tiny bit of clarity remained deep in my mind. The raft drifted with the river. Not sure how long it floated. In a haze, I sensed a fishing boat ahead, getting closer and closer. It's over, I thought to myself. This might really be the end. But I didn't expect. On the fishing boat, A young girl's clear and anxious voice sounded. Daddy, Grandpa, look, there's a big snake on the water.
He's hurt.
Let's save him. Nyanyan, are you crazy? That's a snake. No way. I'm going to save him. He's so pitiful. The little girl refused to give up no matter what. Her name was Su Nyan. She was born with a special constitution. Animals have always been drawn to her. Birds would land on her shoulder. Stray cats would rub her ankles. Her father, Su Dashan, and grandfather, Su Laugan, couldn't argue with her, exchanged a glance, and sighed helplessly. Su Dashan cautiously used a fishing net to scoop me onto the boat. Put me in the water tank at the stern. Fine, we'll take him home for now. Let him recover before releasing him. Su Laugan shook his head. But Nyanyan, you mustn't get too close. I vaguely felt all this while unconscious. A long-lost sense of warmth rose in my heart. Looks like I've met some good people. 7 days passed. The fruit's spiritual energy, plus the Su family's careful care, helped my wounds heal most of the way. For the first couple of days after I woke up, aside from Su Nyan, the rest of the family still avoided me. After all, a snake as thick as a bowl, lying in the utility room, would make anyone uneasy, when I never showed any aggression. Gradually, they let down their guard. Especially Su Nyan's younger brother, Su Xiaowu. That kid is unbelievably bold. Every few days he sneaks into the storage room to see me. He even tries to touch my head. At first, old Su Lieben was very worried. He peeked in from the doorway, keeping a close eye on me. But later, the old man actually gave me a thumbs up. Hey, this snake is really intelligent. Xiaohu pats its head, and it doesn't even flinch. Seeing Su Logan's smug face, I thought to myself, old man, you're really trusting. If it were another snake, your precious grandson would have a 3-foot-tall patch of grass on his grave by now. However, in the days that followed, something unexpected happened. By spending time closely with Su Nyan, I actually developed a sort of mental connection with him. I could vaguely sense his emotional fluctuations in my mind. At the same time, a brand new attribute appeared on my system panel.
Sigh.
The basic stat for mental communication. Both sides reaching a psi of 80 enables mental dialogue. Reaching 100 allows for mental pressure and even mind control. Humans can mutate too. Curious. I used the system to scan Su Nyan. Su Nyan's level, Beast, level 9. Psi 99, ultimate skill, mental communication. Innocent heart, I drew a sharp breath. This seemingly ordinary little girl has actually reached Beast level 9, and her psi is almost maxed out. Even though I'm a beast, my soul is still human. In the future, Su Nyan may very well become the perfect bridge for me to communicate with the human world. After establishing the mental connection, I immediately expressed my gratitude to Su Nyan. Thank you for saving me. Su Nyan's eyes widened, shocked and thrilled. You can really talk? Sort of. I've been cooped up in this room for days. Can you take me outside to get some sun? Without hesitation, Su Nyan hopped over and opened the door for me. After he left, I immediately converted all the energy I'd saved up, a total of 1,010 evolution points. But after more than half an hour, I was still stuck at the bottleneck of Beast level 10. No matter what, I couldn't break through. Hint: insufficient aura concentration in the environment nearby. Unable to advance. Nothing to be done, I'll just sunbathe for now. I was lying in the yard enjoying the sunshine. Su Dashan and Su Laugan came back from outside. Su Dashan immediately spotted my noticeably thicker body. His step noticeably hesitated. His face was a little unnatural. I am, after all, a snake. Once I'm healed, I should leave as soon as possible. Su Dashan and Su Laugan sat in the courtyard, frowning and discussing something. Dad, that sounder of wild boars is back from the mountain again. This time, even old Liu's cornfield got rooted up. If this keeps up, we'll lose this year's entire harvest. Su Dashan sighed. Su Laugan tapped his pipe. What can we do about it? Those wild boar kings are fierce as hell. Last time, a few of the guys went to chase them off. They were almost knocked over. I listened to their conversation and had an idea. Time to repay their kindness. I immediately told Su Nyan telepathically, Nyanyan, tell your dad, I'll handle the wild boars. Su Nyan excitedly ran over. Dad, the big snake says it can help take care of the wild boars. Su Dashan was dumbfounded. Nyanyan, are you sure you don't have a fever? How could a snake understand human speech? Before he finished speaking, I solemnly nodded at him. The father and son exchanged a look. They both saw the shock in each other's eyes. Su Dashan was stunned for a while, then clasped his hands and bowed to me. Even his voice was trembling. We'd really appreciate your help, Snake Immortal. Bidding farewell to Su Nyan, I went deep into Canyon Mountain. Since I'm limited by the environment and can't break through for now, I've decided to spend my evolution points upgrading my skills. I maxed out Venom Spit to level 4. Its range now reaches 12 meters. The toxicity has increased to a terrifying 15 times the normal level. That left me with 118 evolution points. I spent another 100 points upgrading Eagle Eye Radar's detection range, so it's now expanded to 2 kilometers. It can also now search for specific species. Each use cost 10 energy points. Perfect for finding wild boars. It's a bit overkill, but safety comes first. I went into stealth, near a patch of farmland ruined by wild boars. Lying in wait, night fell. Suddenly, 10 blue blips appeared on the radar. I instantly tensed up. My gaze turned to the distance. But it wasn't wild boars. It was people. Among the 10, 2 faces were familiar. 2 of them were from the snake hunting crew last time. This time, every single one of them was carrying a gun. They also brought 5 hunting dogs. A cold gleam flashed across my eyes. Last time I let you go because I didn't want to bother chasing you. But since you've come to me this time, don't blame me for what's going to happen. I crept up silently. One of the dogs was the first to sense something was wrong. It perked up its ears and started barking like crazy. So much for staying hidden. No need to hide anymore. I instantly unleashed the newly unlocked skill, Mental Pressure. An invisible wave of force spread out like a tide. All 5 hunting dogs didn't even get a second bark out, before rolling their eyes and collapsing to the ground. Immediately, all 10 people clutched their heads, letting out cries of agony, like someone was pounding a hammer inside their brains. Even I didn't expect mental pressure to be so powerful. While they were incapacitated, I slithered up to each of them one by one, and injected venom into every single one, wrapping each person tightly in my coils. I didn't let go until I heard bones snap. With that done, I carefully checked all the items they carried, made sure there weren't any cameras or recorders. All I found was some food and medicine. Nothing I could use myself, and I couldn't really bring it back for Su Nyan's family either. As for the 5 dogs, I didn't waste them. I swallowed them all, but I still couldn't bring myself to eat humans. After dealing with the snake hunters, I lay in ambush in the wild again, waiting until, late at night when the radar suddenly showed a much brighter blue blip. It outshone all the others. I zoomed in for a 3-dimensional scan, and instantly drew a sharp breath. This wild boar king was almost as big as me, covered head to toe in knotted muscle. Tusks curved like scimitars. Clearly at the pinnacle of the beast level 2. Wild boar hide is tough as hell. Going head to head doesn't make sense. I coiled up in a big tree, quietly waiting for him to get closer. When it was 10 meters away, I raised my head suddenly and spat venom straight into its eyes. 15 times the usual toxicity. The pain drove the boar king instantly berserk. He went on a wild rampage, knocking over several trees. But the spread of poison was much faster than his struggles.
It only took about 10 minutes.
For this once invincible mountain overlord to finally crash to the ground, never to rise again. Back at the Sioux family home in Shixi village, I told Su Nyan where the wild boar was. Su Dashan was so shocked his jaw nearly dropped. It really got taken down. Su Nyan puffed out her tiny chest proudly. Big Snake said, "We split the meat 50-50. We'll take half, and your uncles and cousins can split the rest. Sudashan immediately called a few villagers, and they spent the night hauling it down the mountain. The wild boar was so huge, it took more than a dozen strong men most of the night to bring it back. Since I still had plenty of food stored up, I only took half the boar meat. The other half I let the villagers split among themselves. Everyone was happy in the end. Bored out of my mind, I sprawled on the living room floor watching TV with Su Nayan. Suddenly, the screen switched, and a breaking news bulletin came on. Latest news from our station? Recently, the skeleton of a super creature was discovered deep beneath the South China Sea. The skeleton stands about 10 meters tall. It's headless and elongated. It has 4 arms. A massive sword of unknown material is stuck in its chest. Relevant authorities are currently investigating. In the footage, the enormous skeleton stands silently in the deep sea. It's both eerie and stunning. Watching the news, I actually felt relieved. These global mysterious events keep happening, and inadvertently provide the perfect cover for someone like me. By comparison, a mutated poisonous snake isn't much of a big story anymore. Another half-month passed. I originally planned to go deep into Mount Kangyun to seek a breakthrough, but the Su family insisted I stay, especially Su Dashan. He practically brought me chicken, duck, and fish every day. Snake and scorpion. Stay a little longer, please. It's not safe in the mountains. He smiled with wrinkles all over his face, as attentive as a restaurant owner. During these half a month, the outside world grew increasingly chaotic. Incidents of mutant beasts attacking humans have escalated sharply. There's basically news reports every day. Even in remote places like Shixi village, some poultry started exhibiting abnormal aggressive behavior. The big rooster raised by Su Laogan almost pecked out Aunt Wang's eyes next door just yesterday. The whole world is shrouded in a kind of inexplicable fear. I feel it too. The wild spiritual energy in the air is getting thicker. It's like something is waking up. This restless energy makes me uncomfortable all over, agitated and uneasy. But Su Dashan and his son, ever since eating the wild boar meat, have been in a totally different state. Su Dashan rubbed the bulging muscle on his arm, both surprised and delighted. Have you noticed more strength in your body? It's as if something is fortifying us. Su Laogan threw a few punches to try, like a tiger with the wind. Hey, you're right. Right at this moment, the ground suddenly shook violently. Dishes slid off the table, shattering on the floor. Dust fell from the beams. The old wooden house creaked frighteningly. Earthquake, I instantly realized. Immediately used telepathy to shout to Nayan Nayan. Get everyone outside now. The house is about to collapse. Su Nian pulled her little brother Su Shaowu and ran out, shouting as they ran. Grandpa, hurry up, come out. Su Dashan hoisted the slow-moving Su Logan onto his shoulder, followed me out the door. Just as we reached the open yard, the old house behind us collapsed with a roar. Dust billowed everywhere, turned into ruins. Su Nayan was trembling in fear, clinging tightly to me. I comforted her via telepathy not to be afraid. Quick, find a higher spot for safety. There may be more aftershocks. After the earthquake, countless wild animals in Mount Kangyun fled in panic. They rushed into human settlements, fighting each other, attacking pedestrians. The village instantly became a madhouse. Cries and screams rose and fell non-stop. Right then, the system issued an emergency alert. Warning, nearby spiritual energy is rapidly increasing. Chaos contains opportunities. Host is about to meet breakthrough conditions. I felt both shocked and thrilled, but now isn't the right time for a breakthrough. The Su family's safety matters more. After realizing I saved the whole family, Su Laogan tried to kneel with a thud. Even Su Dashan got teary-eyed, gave a deep martial salute. Great kindness from Snake Immortal. Our whole family will never forget. Su Logan was crying elderly tears. Turned to look at Su Nayan. Nayan, Grandpa decides for you. You should accept the snake as your mentor. Su Nayan wiped away her tears and solemnly kowtowed to me 3 times. I glanced at them meaningfully, understood their intentions. Now with global disasters happening, with my protection, their family is much safer. And I have the system. Getting stronger is only a matter of time to survive in this new mutant world. And stand firm. It's true that I need a human spokesperson. With that, I nodded. Accepted the mentor-apprentice relationship. Su Nian jumped for joy, master. Since you've taken a teacher, there should be a gift for apprenticeship. I said via telepathy. Nothing valuable really matters now. After this disaster, food and water will be most important. Wait for me to hunt something. Walking in Mount Kangyun behind the town. Everywhere is devastated. Trees toppled over. Rocks cracked apart. The air was filled with earth and blood. I was searching for prey when I suddenly caught an extremely tempting scent. The aroma was unbelievably sweet, like a mix of the world's rarest honey and morning dew. One whiff made my whole body go slack, almost stole my soul away. That attraction is several times stronger than the blood spirit fruit. I'm not the only one drawn by it. Looking around, countless wild beasts were marching in the same direction mechanically, their eyes empty and vacant, as if soulless, completely lost their reasoning. As I got closer to the source of the scent, a force stirred restlessly inside me. My consciousness began to blur. Warning: host is affected by the scent of the illusion spirit fruit. Very high risk of losing sense and falling into illusion. Consume 100 energy points to dispel hallucination. Effect lasts for 10 hours. I confirmed instantly without thinking. Cool energy flooded my mind. My cloudy consciousness cleared in a flash, while other beasts were still sleepwalking. I ate plenty of prey trapped in illusions along the way. They offered no resistance, like dishes on a table. Once my fullness reached 100, I finally stopped devouring. By then, I'd reached a valley I'd never seen before. At the center of Illusion Spirit Valley, a strange giant tree stood tall. Its trunk was pitch black like ink, branches twisted like snakes. 3 bright, dripping blood-red fruits hung in its crown, emitting that bizarre and deadly aroma. Wild beasts drawn by the scent automatically become its guardians once near. They stood guard layer upon layer around the roots, attacking anything that approached. The slightly stronger beasts usually can't even get close before being torn apart by countless guardians. Their flesh seeps into the soil, becomes nutrition for the tree. I immediately scanned with the system. Illusion wood grows an inch every 100 years. Only found where spiritual energy is extremely abundant. Blooms every 1,000 years. Bears fruit every 3,000 years. Needs massive life energy to ripen after fruiting. When mature, the aroma spreads. Controlled creatures will regain consciousness and are very likely to develop intelligence. If not picked in 3 days, fruit withers and nourishes the tree itself. After eating illusion spirit fruit, mental power surges and gain illusion skill. Can trap targets with lower mental power into illusion. Each creature can only eat 3 fruits. The first is most effective. After reading the description, I was secretly shocked. Although my power now can handle any wild beast here, if attacked by all at once, I just become another nutrient. But I noticed one critical detail. Illusion wood needs extremely abundant spiritual energy to bear fruit. I instantly opened my attribute panel. Sure enough, 3 golden words flashing in the evolution section. Breakthrough possible, but the notes made me frown. This breakthrough requires 1 hour. Will absorb spiritual energy in 5 kilometers. Unable to move. No means of self-protection. Interrupt means failure. 1 hour completely immobile. In a place surrounded by beasts. Isn't that suicide? And if I break through during the process, and the forest fruit happens to ripen, others will just reap all the benefits. I've decided to hold off for now, and wait until the fruit is ripe. Meanwhile, 3 kilometers behind me, a burly man was hurrying toward the valley. His name was Chun Tiju. He came from a family of hunters. He was built like a bear. He was also lured by the strange aroma. He was about to fall into an illusion when an old jade pendant on his belt suddenly emitted a faint glow, pulling him back from the haze. Chun Tiju looked down, noticing a new crack in the jade pendant, and winced with heartbreak. Then he grinned. Master wasn't lying after all. There really is treasure in these mountains. Although he felt the loss,
He quickly picked up the pace.
charging straight toward the valley. Time ticked by, and the color of the illusory spirit fruit grew even bloodier red, almost like 3 solidified drops of blood. The strange aroma also began to recede instead of diffuse. I knew it was about to ripen. This was the moment. I lunged out. And at this point, of all the guards around the illusory spirit tree, there were only a handful left after hours of infighting. Those who survived were utterly exhausted. Facing these spent forces, I could almost sweep them aside. Venom spray, body crushing, unstoppable momentum. But just as I was less than 20 meters from the tree, a loud human voice suddenly rang out from behind. Whoa, there really is treasure here. My body froze. I glanced back. Chan Tiju stood at the mouth of the valley, his eyes fixed on the fruit gleaming in the tree. But when he saw my huge form, his pupils shrank abruptly, and he involuntarily gasped in shock. What a gigantic python! While he was dumbfounded, I didn't hesitate. I reared up and unleashed a spray. A stream of venom shot out like a hidden arrow. Chan Tiju reacted with lightning speed, dodging to the side, but the venom still splashed onto his right arm. Not giving him a chance to catch his breath, I lunged in a flash, wrapping my entire body tightly around him. Squeezing tighter and tighter, the paralyzing effect of the venom spread rapidly. His punching fist was limp, as it hit my thick scales, without causing any harm. You... But before he could finish his curse, his consciousness started to fade. Just then, the strange aroma in the valley suddenly disappeared. The illusory spirit fruit had ripened. The surviving beast's eyes gradually cleared up, and they looked around in confusion. I didn't have time to think, and finished him off with one bite. Chan Tiju quickly charged toward the illusory spirit tree again. A wild boar and a large black bear were the first to recover. They were closest to the spirit fruit, and first to spot the 3 sparkling blood-red fruits. But I was faster. My body arced smoothly through the air, and I reached the tree. Facing the 3 fruits atop the branches, I swallowed them all in a single gulp. Ding! Host has devoured illusory spirit fruit, ×3, and acquired the skill spiritual illusion. Skill description. When making eye contact with a target whose mental strength is weaker than the host's, there is a 10% chance to trap them in an illusion. The content of the illusion can be crafted by the host's sweet dream or nightmare. You can also guide the target's actions. Host cannot perform other actions while using the skill. Looking at the skill description, I was so thrilled I almost spun around in place. This is seriously a god-tier skill. Not only can it control the battlefield and save my life, but it can also create opportunities for a comeback, and even be used for interrogation and manipulation. Its possible uses are endless. But my joy didn't last long. That wild boar and black bear, seeing me swallow all 3 fruits, instantly flew into a rage. The wild boar bared its tusks and started furiously digging at the ground. The black bear stood on its hind legs and let out an ear-splitting roar. But I could tell, both of them were all bark and no bite right now. Controlled by the illusory spirit tree just before, they had drained far too much energy. All they had left was empty posturing. But the way they eyed the fruit so wistfully and greedily was the perfect chance to test out my new skill. With a mental command, I activated spiritual illusion. In an instant, the wild boar and black bear's gazes went blank again. Right in front of everyone, these 2 behemoths actually started brawling with each other, fighting among themselves. The wild boar crazily charged its tusks at the bear's belly. The black bear slapped its giant paw at the boar's head, their battle sending blood and flesh flying. The smaller beasts that had just regained their senses nearby scattered and fled in terror. Experiment complete. The effect was outstanding. I immediately lifted the illusion. No need to waste mental energy on those 2 fools. The moment they regained their senses, the wild boar and black bear froze. They were both badly wounded all over, and stared at each other in bewilderment, their eyes full of sheer terror. That kind of fear when your body is completely out of your own control will probably haunt them for life. The wild boar broke down first, and let out a shriek, bolting away along the cliff, disappearing at the mouth of the valley. The huge black bear hesitated for a moment, then did the complete opposite. With a thump, it plopped down before me, then slowly rolled over, exposing its softest belly. This is a sign of complete submission among animals. I burst out laughing. A free bodyguard? Why the heck not? I then turned to Chuntiju's corpse, reaching to his waist, and took off the now cracked jade pendant. Clearing, defective imitation. Single-use consumable. Can resist one low-level mental attack. Restores wearer's mind, shatters after protection. After reading the description, I carefully stashed the jade pendant away. Although it's basically useless now, it might still come in handy. Just as I was wondering how to communicate with the black bear, ding, a system prompt suddenly sounded. The system notification exploded in my mind. A creature has voluntarily submitted. Accept it as a soul follower? Upon acceptance, host will gain 100 mind points. Some of the follower's abilities will transfer to the host. Unlock soul imprint skill. Note, once the mark is implanted, the follower will never betray the host. When near the host, it gets 50% of the host's attribute bonuses. First use consumes 100 virtual mind points, with future costs increasing exponentially. Please use this cautiously in the long run. I didn't hesitate. Facing the big black bear lying at my feet, I placed my first soul imprint. A flash of golden light, and the imprint sank into its brow. After a moment, a silly, honest voice sounded directly in my mind. Boss, my name's Mighty Bear. From now on, you're my boss. With help from the system, Mighty Bear and I quickly learned about each other's pasts. With the soul imprint's absolute loyalty, it didn't matter if he knew about the system. His background was pretty simple. He used to be an ordinary black bear of Kangyun Mountain. But after the apocalypse, he gained intelligence, only to be hunted by mutant wolves, and barely survived. I immediately promised to help him take revenge in the future. As soon as he got that promise, Mighty Bear's eyes lit up like lanterns. He never thought he'd not only be accepted, but that his new boss would be so powerful and promising. Successfully acquired your first soul follower. Reward, 100 mind points. Received ability feedback from Mighty Bear, strength of a giant, costs 1,000 energy points, and double strength attribute for 10 minutes. After receiving the feedback, I barely had time to celebrate when the system alarm suddenly blared sharply. Warning. Host's overall attributes have surpassed the maximum value of the current level. Please advance within 30 minutes, or your body will collapse from being unable to contain the power. It's the first time the system has issued such an urgent prompt. My heart sank suddenly. The countdown in my head was ticking away. Less than half an hour left. I must race against time. I immediately activated my Heaven's Eye radar, scanning at full power. With my current body size, finding a place to upgrade without being disturbed is really damn hard. Very soon, a perfect hiding spot appeared a kilometer away. A cave beneath two giant boulders. The entrance is hidden, easy to defend and hard to attack. It's practically tailor-made for me. Jean Da guard the entrance. Boss, don't you worry. Jean Da patted his chest, his voice booming like a bell. Anyone who dares come near will have to step over my dead body first. I nodded and dove straight inside. Jean Da was incredibly excited. Ever since he started following me, his power had skyrocketed. The closer he is to me, the stronger that power becomes. He's not very bright, and can't figure out why, but he's too lazy to think about it. As long as he follows the boss, he's good. The cave was pitch black, but my night vision made it look no different from daylight. After confirming there were no threats, one immediately gave the order. System, begin the breakthrough. The moment I lay down, the excruciating pain of flesh being torn and reorganized swept through my entire body. I could feel the surrounding air forming a vortex. Streams of pure energy, the so-called spiritual ki, poured frantically into my body, repairing and strengthening my torn physique. So this is spiritual ki. Though it hurts like hell, the pleasure of ascending beyond species boundaries is enough to offset everything. Risk and reward are always equal. This is a walk on the threshold of death. It's either reaching the heavens in one bound, or dying without a corpse. The pain was more than 10 times worse than before, but the steady flow of spiritual ki was like a cooling ointment, just barely keeping me alive, preventing me from dying of pain on the spot. The commotion I caused was too great. The spiritual ki within a 5-kilometer radius was being frantically drained by me, forming a spiritual ki storm visible to the naked eye. Those mutated beasts were all alerted. The ones with no brains didn't react much, but the beasts that had developed some intelligence immediately realized there was a huge benefit. They rushed toward me like crazy. Fortunately, Suzuki's previous actions had already helped me clear most of the threats in this area. The ones left were just stragglers. Their numbers were small, and they couldn't find the cave entrance right away. Jean Da stood guard firmly at the entrance, his ears pricked straight up, his nose constantly sniffing the air, alert to everything around him. This was the first mission I gave him. He would complete it, even if it meant death.
10 minutes later.
A pack of mutated wolves appeared not far away. They had just arrived, unaffected by what happened with Suzuki earlier. The spiritual ki storm I created was, to these mutated creatures, nothing short of legendary treasure. But this pack of wolves was both vicious and cunning. They only watched from several hundred meters away, not daring to approach. They knew very well that if the big guy in the cave successfully broke through, he would be the lord of this forest. But if I failed, my corpse would be the tonic for them to reach the heavens. They were waiting for a result. There were many other beasts with the same idea. In the shadows of the hillside, a fox with 2 tails, a mutated weasel over a meter long, and several giant snakes several meters long, were all staring deathly at the cave entrance. None dared to move, but none were willing to leave. Zhang Da had long since noticed these ill-intentioned fellows. If I hadn't given him a strict order to guard the entrance, he would have rushed out and torn them to pieces already. Zhang Die's eyes were full of killing intent. He growled in a low voice, "When my boss comes out, I'll slaughter you lot first." Time passed minute by minute. The moon rose to the middle of the sky. I had reached the most critical moment. My consciousness was still clear, but my body was completely out of control, entirely operated by the system. That feeling was like tens of thousands of hammers smashing my bones, and countless knives cutting my flesh. After the intense pain, spiritual ki would pour in to repair it, bringing a moment of comfort, followed by more tearing and more repairing. This repeated torture of ice and fire was almost driving me insane. But I could clearly feel that my body and my will were, through this extreme pain, becoming stronger and stronger. Finally, the external spiritual ki stopped flowing in. The sharp pain vanished instantly, leaving only endless fatigue. However, in the next second, the scales all over my body snapped open and sucked the last remaining bit of spiritual ki in the cave, completely dry. An indescribable feeling of comfort surged like a tide, instantly washing away all exhaustion. I was full of energy. Before I could even enjoy this brand new feeling, the system's notification sound exploded in my head. Ding! Congratulations to the host for a successful breakthrough. Life level leaped. First perfect breakthrough. Reward: Ses Deer secondary bloodline potential increased by 512 times. New skill obtained: bloodline combustion. System data updated. I immediately opened the attribute panel, wanting to see exactly how strong I had become. Host: Cheng Long. Type: Snake Ancestor. Bloodline level: SS Deer Grade 2. Realm: Beast Soldier. Initial stage: body length 15 meters. Weight: 300 kilograms. Lifespan: 15 years. Limit strength: 199-260. Basic attributes maxed out. Energy: 20 points. Skills: Venom Spray, Spiritual Illusion, Bloodline Combustion. My species had jumped from King Cobra directly to Snake Ancestor, and I even gained a badass SS bloodline. But the crappy part is, the exchange price for evolution points has increased 5-fold. 50 energy points to exchange for 1 evolution point. Damn it. If I had known, I would have leveled up my skills before the breakthrough. I felt a bit depressed, but quickly scolded myself for being greedy. A snake trying to swallow an elephant, it's good enough just to survive. As soon as my head poked out of the cave, Zhang Da was stunned. If it weren't for the connection of the soul imprint, he almost wouldn't have recognized me. My body size was larger than before, and my scales shimmered with a dark metallic luster. Even my aura was completely different. "Bo, boss." Zhang Dai's eyes widened. He could feel the power radiating from me. It was more than 10 times stronger than before. This made him ecstatic, making him want to howl at the top of his lungs to celebrate. And those fellows outside waiting for a chance. The moment the spiritual key storm disappeared, they felt a pressure 10 times more terrifying than before. Sweep out from the cave. Most of them were scared shitless on the spot, turning around and bolting. But there are always those who aren't afraid of death, still hiding in the dark, peeking. A cold light flashed in my eyes. While I was breaking through, I was defenseless. If Zhang Da hadn't guarded the entrance and let those beasts rush in, I would have been their dung by now. Since you're all here, then don't bother leaving. Zhang Da, I looked outside coldly. Go slaughter those fools who don't know any better. Drag their corpses back. Zhang Da was instantly energized. While he was guarding the cave earlier, he had also benefited quite a bit from the spiritual key. His strength had surged significantly. Now, combined with my attribute bonuses, dealing with those small fry was like cutting through butter. He let out a roar, charging toward the nearest Volf pack like a hurricane. I slowly slithered out of the cave. My body as thick as a barrel, glinted with a steel-like cold luster under the moonlight. I coiled atop a giant boulder, like a cold-blooded monarch, overlooking my territory. Leave none alive. This was an order, and also a test for Zhang Da. After dealing with those blind fools, Zhang Da and I returned to the camp. Sudashan's family was gathered around the campfire, worrying. Seeing me return, Sunayan jumped up in excitement, lunged forward and hugged my head. But when Sudashan and his son saw my massive size, their legs went weak with fear on the spot. Sulaugan nearly choked on his breath. It wasn't their fault. In just over a month, I had gone from a tiny snake soaking in a wine jar to a 15-meter-long behemoth. This kind of pressure would make anyone shudder. Dad, Grandpa, don't be afraid. This is my master. Sunian shouted to reassure the two. The terror in Sudashan and Sulaugan's eyes only then slowly dissipated, replaced by a deep sense of awe. Before I could catch my breath, Sunayan started chirping away, telling me that a pack of mutated stray dogs had just attacked the camp. Luckily, Sudashan and his son fought them off with all their might. Even more surprising was, in her desperation, Sunian actually awakened telekinesis, controlling stones to drive away the wild dogs. Master, look at Sunayan's face, seeking praise. With a lift of her finger, several pieces of gravel actually floated into the air, slowly rotating in midair. I was overjoyed. This girl actually taught herself to reach this level on her own. She is definitely a diamond in the rough. I immediately spat out that green spirit jade pendant taken from Chun Tiju, handed it to Sunayan. Keep it on you. It can protect you and steady your mind. Sunayan took the pendant, but she didn't hang it on herself. Instead, she turned and ducked into the temporary wooden shack and stuffed it into the hands of her traumatized mother. Mom, you wear it. I'm not afraid. I nodded inwardly. Filial piety comes first. This disciple is all right. Worth cultivating. Early the next morning, I gave the order. Set off down the mountain. Zhang Da carried the Su siblings on his back. Our group traveled across the cracked earth. The village at the foot of the mountain was in ruins. Houses collapsed into rubble. Floodwaters overflowed the streams. Floating corpses everywhere, though this tragedy was expected. Seeing it with my own eyes still made my heart go cold. Since the world has fallen into chaos, then I shall protect this family. In the future, they will be my representatives in the human world. Half a month flashed by. I had grown to over 20 meters. Silver scales harder than diamond. Successfully promoted to high-level beast soldier. Zhang Die's status also rose with mine, becoming an entry-level beast soldier. Strong as a small mountain, At this moment, behind us followed a refugee column of 3,000 people. All survivors gathered along the way, bringing their families, fleeing toward Yunnan County, 100 kilometers away. The road was not peaceful. Mutated cats, dogs, cows, and pigs roamed in packs, constantly watching their former masters from the wilderness, waiting for a chance to hunt stragglers. In the group, although 20 or 30 teenagers with abilities had awakened, most only had raw strength. When truly tough enemies appeared, it still relied on Zhangda and me to hold the line. Su Dashan's family had now become the core of this group. There was no other way, since we two great deities only recognized them. Zhangda was in charge of clearing the small fry. Su Nian managed human affairs. I was responsible for intimidating the entire field. Help! Just as the vanguard entered a village ahead, a shrill scream pierced the sky. I activated my sky eye to scan. Man, a mutated black bull 3 meters tall, was running rampant with a dozen subordinates. On the leader's horns hung an unlucky soul with his guts spilled out. Several awakened teenagers were pale with fright. They didn't dare step forward at all. Time to work, I flicked my tongue. Body slithering forward. A bloodthirsty glint flashed in my eyes. These rookies can't handle it. I have to step in personally. I turned and growled at Zhangda. Steak for dinner tonight. Brother Chen, we can't handle this big guy. A skinny blonde-haired boy clutched a steel fork tightly. His voice was shaking, staring in terror at the giant beast opposite him. The tall youth called Brother Chin swallowed hard. His name was Chin Hao, the strongest among this group of awakened ones. But facing this kind of scene, the cold sweat on his forehead still wouldn't stop pouring down. Dozens of eyes were watching him. If he failed, behind him would be a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. The leading big black bull glared with blood-red eyes, also sizing up these young kids. It could feel that these few people were stronger than the dead man hanging on its horns, but not by much. After just a few seconds of standoff, a yellow bull next to the big black bull moved first, nostrils snorting 2 clouds of white steam, charging fiercely with heavy steps. Get out of the way! The crowd instantly panicked, scattering in all directions. One boy facing the impact reacted quickly. He did a somersault to avoid the horns, and swung an axe at the bull's belly. This completely stirred up the hornet's nest. The other 7 or 8 bulls lowered their heads at once, charging forward with sharp horns. Only the largest black bull didn't move. It stared fixedly at the back of the crowd,
its limbs trembling slightly.
Animal instinct told it. The true Grim Reaper had arrived. Its intuition was spot on. Zhang Da and I, with a flushed Su Nian, slowly walked out of the village entrance. Su Nian's face was red, because she was concentrating fully on controlling 20 shiny fruit knives. These were the beginner gear I had found for her in a supermarket we passed. Those blades floated and rotated around her, flashing with cold light. I activated my sky eye to scan. The data for that big black bull instantly appeared. Species: horned bull. Rank: ultimate beast soldier. Length: 4 meters. Weight: 2,750 kilogram. Max power: 257. Max armor: 138. Skills: mighty charge, horn thrust. The stats are decent. 2 stats broke 200. No wonder those green recruits didn't dare move. But in my eyes, he's just a dish. Girl, I said through our mental link, whether we can have a feast for dinner depends entirely on your knife skills. Don't worry, master. Su Nian's gaze hardened. The 20 fruit knives were like a swarm of bees leaving the hive, whistling toward the bull charging at the very front. Asterisk, thud, 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 asterisk, the blade light flashed repeatedly. The boy, who was ready to fight for his life, felt his hands lighten as a massive bull head wrapped in a rain of blood crashed into his arms head-on. Not just him. Before the others could recover, the mad bull collapsed amidst the intersecting cold lights. Blood gushed from its neck like a fountain. The leading big black bull panicked. Its lowing had a noticeable tremor. It thought it was bullying weaklings, but lost half its pack in an instant. It wasn't stupid. It could see the little girl with the knives was not to be messed with. But what made its skin crawl the most was me, the giant snake coiled on the ground. He wants to run. Zhang Da, Clear the small fry. The big one is mine. Before my voice faded, I had already launched myself forward. The Snake King has moved. An exclamation erupted from the crowd. Ever since a blind provocateur in the group was slapped to death by Zhang Da last time, I have been the definition of invincible in the eyes of these 3,000 people. Even Chen Hao, who can lift a car, wouldn't dare take one of my moves, let alone a bull. Zhang Da roared and charged into the herd, like a tiger among sheep. And the moment the big black bull turned, my body coiled around it like a steel whip, coils tightening. The sound of bones cracking was dense and constant. In less than a minute, this arrogant ultimate beast soldier turned to mush, completely dead. Mighty Snake King. Cheers rose one after another. Sudarshan and his son didn't even need my instructions to skillfully lead people up to clean the battlefield. That night, besides the leader going into my stomach, the remaining dozen bulls let the whole group have a feast. Ding, consumed roasted beef, gained 10 energy points. Ding, consumed raw horned bull beef, gained 275 total energy points. I coiled my body while listening to the system prompts, calculating this account in my head. Although some spiritual energy is lost when it's cooked, having someone serve me meat is definitely much better than eating raw flesh and drinking blood. Moreover, the SS Rank 2 bloodline is practically a cheat code. Just by breathing and meditating, I can gain 1,500 energy points for free every day. Combined with my current body size and my increased appetite, as long as the food keeps coming, earning 2,000 points a day is a breeze. In this area, I am the absolute number one. I haven't touched the 1,000 plus energy points I've saved up. This is my trump card for burning my bloodline in a life or death struggle. Although I seem invincible at the moment, with the spiritual recovery, all living beings are equal. Who knows which corner might produce an even more freaky monster? Better safe than sorry. Not far away, Big Bear is holding a metal basin and licking honey, looking completely blissed out. Although this guy looks lazy, I really envy his talent. When I first scanned him with my sky eye, that bright S-rank bloodline really gave me a shock. Keep in mind that in this group of over 3,000 people, only Sunayan is SS rank. That Chen Hao is barely a C rank. For every rank higher the bloodline is, the cultivation speed is a massive multiplier ahead. My SS rank is 512 times faster. Big Bear's S rank is 128 times, while ordinary people simply can't compare. That's destiny, and it's also the source of my confidence to run wild in this apocalypse. Just as I was feeling sentimental, at the edge of the Sky Eye radar map, a group of uninvited guests suddenly burst in. A few kilometers away, a fully armed squad of 100 people is advancing toward our location. Everyone, hurry up and rest, the leading company commander said with a raspy voice. His bloodshot eyes swept over the exhausted soldiers behind him. His name is Lin Chuan. In his early 30s, with a square face and thick eyebrows. His camouflage uniform was already tattered, but his back remained bolt upright. This mission is to search for survivors north of Yunnan County. This area is the hardest hit and has the most complex terrain, but we will never abandon any citizen, do you understand? Understood. A soldier gripped his gun tightly and gritted his teeth. Commander, don't worry. At a time like this, if we soldiers don't step up, should we let the civilians do it? A young soldier nearby chewing on dry rations had cracked lips. He asked in a low voice, Commander, do you think there's still hope for humanity? Lin Chuan answered resolutely, his gaze as hard as iron. There is hope, little monkey. Remember, as long as we don't give up, there will definitely be hope. Over half a month had passed since the Great Cataclysm. Every powerful nation in the world was carrying out organized and planned self-rescue efforts. This disaster was not limited to a certain city or region, but the entire world. Although the disasters triggered by the earthquakes varied in intensity by region, those mutated creatures would not give surviving humans any room to breathe. They were not only killing and devouring each other, but also constantly attacking human settlements. What's even more terrifying is that As the spiritual energy grows denser, their mutation speed and reproductive ability are increasing day by day. As one of the world's strongest nations, Great Xia is naturally second to none in terms of disaster relief. Government agencies at all levels, under the unified command of regional heads, have integrated military and police forces to operate efficiently, establishing various self-rescue units. They organize the public to build safe zones to resist the invasion of mutated beasts. And the company led by Lin Chuan, subordinate to the Great Xia Southern Military Region, is just an ordinary infantry company. Their mission is simple. As a vanguard unit, search for survivors in this area and escort them to the nearest safe zone. Commander, we have a situation. Not long after the team stopped to rest, a dark-faced soldier responsible for scouting ahead came running back in a hurry. What's the situation?
Lin Chuan quickly stood up.
The dark-faced soldier is named Zhao Hu, the best scout in the company. He was panting heavily, and his face looked extremely grim. The mountain pass 1 kilometer ahead is blocked by a group of mutated armored beasts. Those beasts are tearing at corpses on the ground. They all have long tusks. They are densely packed, all over the hills and fields. They're everywhere. A rough estimate is at least 200 or 300 of them. I specifically observed that this is the only road leading to the towns inside. There's no other way to bypass it. Are there really 200 or 300 armored beasts? Lin Chuan's expression stiffened, and he couldn't help but ask.
Ever since the Great Cataclysm?
Though it had only been a short half-month, as a soldier, compared to ordinary civilians, he had access to much more intelligence regarding mutated beasts. Faced with the powerful state machine, there were already no fewer than dozens of known species of mutated beasts. As for armored beasts, the most common mutated species derive from domestic pigs and wild boars. They could be described as the tanks among mutated beasts. They have thick skin and tough flesh, pointed snouts and long tusks, immense strength, and are incredibly fast. Ordinary firearms can hardly cause fatal damage to them. Unless you hit a vital spot directly, it takes more than a dozen shots to take one down. Even more terrifyingly, their full sprint speed can reach 50 to 60 meters per second, and they can maintain this terrifying speed for 10 to 20 kilometers continuously. Therefore, the military nicknamed them tank beasts. Are there really that many? Zhao Hu nodded with a heavy expression. Those guys are crowding the mountain pass, foraging in a dense cluster. There's a cluster of shacks nearby, probably a pig farm before. There's still quite a bit of movement inside the shacks. The number should only be higher. Whether for the people still alive ahead, or for these deceased fellow villagers, Lin Chuan fell silent for a few seconds, and his gaze became sharp. We must take them out and clear this passage. But Commander, we don't have any heavy weapons, Zhao Hu said with a frown. With so many armored beasts, can we handle them? Should we send a telegram to the brother units behind us to request backup? Just do it. Enough with the nonsense. Lin Chuan waved his hand, his tone resolute. Every part of the country needs support right now. The surviving civilians are waiting for us to help them escape danger. Every minute we delay might mean another innocent life lost. In our position, if a full-strength company can't even deal with a few pigs. The night wind was very cold. Most people in the camp had already settled down. The campfire crackled, casting patches of orange jello light onto those crude shacks. Zhou Dashan's family is right next to where I'm resting. They built a low makeshift shelter. Sulogan's snores can be faintly heard. I coil up in place, digesting the spoils in my stomach. The more I digest, the more unsatisfied I feel. Even though that big bull earlier weighed nearly half a ton, with my current size, that little bit of meat barely counts as half full. As I get bigger and bigger, my appetite grows along with it. It's honestly a real headache. Zhangda, Sunayan, come take a walk with me up ahead. Instead of just lying here doing nothing, it's better to go for a walk and help digest. Might as well check if there are any prey ahead. that we could easily take down. Honestly, I can't really explain why, but I have this vague, indescribable feeling in my gut, like something is brewing up ahead. Zhang Da didn't say a word, and instantly stood up. Su Nian crawled out of the shelter, rubbing her sleepy eyes. She quickly hopped onto Zhang Da's back. The ruined road looks especially desolate under the moonlight. The asphalt is cracked and broken, exposing the yellow earth beneath. Zhang Da steps slowly over the rubble. Su Nian sits on his back, looking this way and that for a while. Then she spoke. Master, I feel like I'm about to fully awaken too. I wasn't surprised. This girl has the same SS rank bloodline as Zhang Dai. It wouldn't be strange even if she broke through right now. Though for now she still relies entirely on her own exploration. She doesn't even have a decent training method. But if someone as slow-witted as Zhang Da has already reached the mutated beast level, Su Nian's body should be on the verge of awakening too. After a moment of silence, I glanced at the sky. Those words I've been holding in for so long, I finally let them out. After I get you two to the safe zone, I'll probably be leaving. Su Nian was stunned for a moment, then suddenly snapped out of it. Her voice sounded a bit flustered. Master, it's me. Is there anything I've done wrong lately that has made you unhappy? Silly child, it's not about you. I said softly, all good things must come to an end. You now have the ability to protect yourself. I can't stay with you forever. I have my own things to do. It's not like we'll never see each other again. It's just a temporary departure. Su Nian said nothing more. Bear Big carried her on his back and walked with me for a long way. The surroundings were silent, with only the sound of the wind blowing through the withered grass. After a long time, Su Nian finally lowered her head, rubbed the corners of her eyes with her sleeve, and squeezed out two words, all right. That, all right, was so faint it was almost inaudible. But I knew clearly that she truly regarded me as her closest family. After spending every day together during this time, in her heart, she had probably thought about the separation countless times, yet she could never convince herself to accept it calmly. To be honest, I also treated her as my own sister, or even a daughter. But parting is something she must eventually learn to face. Just as the silence in the air was becoming oppressive, a low boom of an explosion rolled in from the distance. Dull yet powerful, it was clearly no small disturbance. Something's happening, let's go check. The three of us instantly perked up. I took the lead, with Bear Big following closely behind, his footsteps thundering, rapidly advancing toward the direction of the explosion. Lin Xuan's expression was already quite grim. Commander, the ammunition is running low, Zhao Hu shouted while changing his magazine. His eyes, however, were fixed on the fearless armored beasts ahead. His brows were knit into a tight knot. In this light-equipped rescue mission, they hadn't brought heavy weapons, and had only carried basic ammunition quotas. After all, no one expected that on a mountain path, they would run into such a massive horde of exotic beasts. Once these creatures got moving, it was practically a small-scale beast tide. The firefight had already lasted for over 10 minutes. Although the company had killed many armored beasts, more and more pigs were swarming down from the mountain path. Each one had bloodshot eyes and moved at lightning speed, crashing into the wall of fire one after another. They wouldn't retreat even if it meant death. 2 forward fire points had already been overrun. The soldiers there has been no sound from their walkie-talkies until now. They are likely doomed. The only good news was that there were only 3 truly mutated armored beast kings. They hid in the rear, emitting low grunting roars, commanding the herd to deplete the company's ammunition, while showing no intention of taking action themselves. Hold on, Lin Chuan barked through gritted teeth, his eyes sweeping across the battlefield. A war of attrition. No, we must locate those 3 leaders. Before he could finish, someone at the back of the position suddenly cried out, Commander, what is that behind us? When I appeared at the edge of the battlefield, the entire combat zone fell into an eerie silence. Both the soldiers with their fingers on the triggers, and the armored beasts in their frenzied charge all froze at the same time. A 25-meter-long snake, thicker than two men's arms can reach around, with its upper body raised as high as a 2- or 3-story building. Its scales, reflected in the gunfire, shimmered with a cold, metallic luster. In contrast, Bear Big's heavy black bear physique beside me seemed almost miniature in my presence. But even so, the little girl riding on his back still instantly caught everyone's attention. Am I seeing things? Lin Chuan stared through his binoculars for a full 3 seconds, before finding his voice again. To catch the bandits, first catch their leader. You two each take one on. Leave the other 2 big ones to me. I happen to still be hungry. Taking advantage of the brief ceasefire on the battlefield, caused by our appearance, I had already assigned the tasks via mental link. I activated my Heaven's Eye and scanned the 3 armored beast kings hiding in the rear. The strongest one was only at the ultimate beast soldier realm. Enough, my figure suddenly burst into motion. A top speed of 300 meters per second was almost equivalent to a teleportation in the eyes of onlookers. A distance of 200 or 300 meters, traversed in less than 2 breaths. I appeared before the largest boar king, leaving in the air a barely audible sonic boom aftershock. The boar king reacted, opening its bloodshot eyes to charge, but suddenly felt a massive surge of spiritual power flood into its brain through its eyes like a deluge. In the next moment, its body was completely out of control. Under the stunned gazes of everyone, this boar king, which had been flaunting its might moments ago, charged toward its own companion without looking back. It let out a deafening roar and slammed into it with full force. Cried the fellow, actually daring to lock eyes with Lord Snake. You've got guts. This was exactly the effect I wanted. I originally planned to crush it with my size, but since it's being so cooperative, it's a perfect time to practice my new skill. 100 meters away, Bear Big set Su Nian down. Witnessing that familiar scene, he couldn't help but shiver, silently lighting a candle for that boar king in his heart. Boss is using that creepy skill again. Boy, he's making that guy follow in his own footsteps. Despite such thoughts, Bear Big did not hesitate for a second.
He resolutely launched a charge toward the 3rd boar king,
who was momentarily lost in bewilderment. If he didn't seize an opportunity like this, he wouldn't be Bear Big. Commander, is that boar king possessed? Why isn't it attacking the giant snake, but fighting its own instead? Zhao Hu was about to fire, but saw this scene, a show that nearly made his jaw drop. His mouth was open wide enough to fit a goose egg. Lin Chuan didn't speak, but he vaguely sensed something. His gaze shifted between me, Bear Big, and Su Nian. Instinct was telling him that these 3 strange characters were on our side. While everyone was still in a state of shock, Su Nian had already moved. She jumped down from Bear Big's back, and a surge of telekinetic power rose abruptly. The 20 daggers tucked at her waist instantly floated around her, glinting with cold light. A few were damaged last time against the man-footed bulls, but they had already been replaced with spares after returning to the team. After this period of working together, the 3 of us, master and disciples, had developed a great rapport. I controlled Boar Boss to beat up Boar number 2, Bear Big engaged Boar number 3, and Su Nian was responsible for watching the other variables on the battlefield. As expected, several clever armored beasts soon noticed the anomaly and quietly flanked from the side, attempting to ambush me while I seemed immobile. Su Nian's eyes narrowed, and the 20 daggers whistled out. One slashed across the throat of the nearest armored beast, a line of blood blooming. Another pierced accurately behind it, sinking into a fat pig's eye socket and into its skull. Clean and neat, all in one go. My God, the soldiers in the trenches were completely flabbergasted. They had seen awakened ones. They had seen those with brute strength. But controlling 20 flying knives, to harvest heads on the battlefield like a sword immortal, this was a first. Don't accidentally hit that little girl. Lin Chuan was the first to react. With a command, don't stop the attack. True to his status as an experienced veteran, His speed in seizing the combat opportunity was astonishing. Losing the unified command of the three boar kings, combined with the pressure exerted by Bear Big and me, the remaining 300 or 400 armored beasts instantly fell into chaos. Some continued their momentum to charge the soldiers, some turned back to rescue their boar kings, and some simply turned and tried to run. The scales of war began to tilt sharply. I controlled Boar Boss to relentlessly attack Boar number 2 with full force. Although the latter eventually realized what was happening, it was already too late. Being a level lower than Boar Boss to begin with, and caught off guard at the start, it had lost more than half its combat power. Now it could only take the beating passively, its situation growing more pathetic by the second. On Zhang Die's side, the fight with Zhu Laozhen was utterly intense. Both sides were equally matched in strength. But the sudden reversal on the battlefield made Zhu Laozhen completely lose the will to fight. All he could think about was running away. He saw it clearly. Even if Zhu Laoda didn't go berserk, the three brothers together still wouldn't be a match for that giant snake and the black bear. Not to mention that creepy two-legged beast lurking behind them, controlling a flurry of flying knives and slaughtering his subordinates. Zhu Laozhen's no fool. He risked getting a chunk bitten out by Zhang Da, gave a sudden heave, and managed to force his way a half step out. He seized the chance and bolted. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared into the dense forest. The remaining armored beasts quickly fell into chaotic retreat. The battlefield was littered with corpses scattered everywhere. The gunfire and roars finally began to die down. Sorry, boss. I let that guy get away. Zhang Da hung his head and came to my side, like a kid waiting for punishment after making a mistake. His whole body trembled slightly. Forget it. If he ran, he ran. I didn't say much more. That Zhu Laozhen, to save his own life, risked getting his leg chewed off by Zhang Da and managed to tough it out. If I were in Zhang Dia's place, I'd have chosen to protect myself first too. Nothing to blame there. Go, Su Nian. Go have a word with those soldiers. I led Zhang Da back several hundred meters, taking up position within the soldiers' line of sight. There's no way, given what I'm now. A strange beast approaching an armed unit out of nowhere would only cause unnecessary trouble for both sides. I thought of this too when I decided to help Su Nian back then. Now it's the girl's turn to shine. I really am your master. Zhao Hu's jaw dropped wide enough to fit a goose. He kept glancing back and forth between Su Nian and me in the distance. His face screamed, "Is this really happening?" Though the soldiers around looked dumbstruck too, gradually that shock lost its spark of wonder. With all these revived beasts rampaging around, and the appearance of awakened people, so many bizarre things had happened in the past couple weeks, one after another stacking on top of each other, that anything seemed possible by now. Everyone's sense of the impossible was already worn thin. A little human girl apprenticing under a giant snake. What's that compared to? The headless skeleton with a massive sword. At the bottom of the South Sea? This suddenly feels almost routine. Yeah, that's right. Su Nian tidied her hair and replied seriously, Master isn't like those crazed beasts that attack people. If it weren't for him during this time, all 3,000 people behind us would have suffered who knows how many more casualties. She briefly recounted what's happened since we met. In one go. Her voice was clear and crisp. Her storytelling was orderly. The soldiers across from her listened quietly, all wearing different expressions. Eventually, everyone accepted the truth. With the two giant beasts staying put right there, not charging or causing trouble, and in fact having just helped them win a tough battle, the facts spoke for themselves. Any more suspicion was pointless. Saving people came first. Everything else was details. After some discussion, Lin Chuan followed Su Nian up to me. I noticed his steps were steady, but the closer he got, the harder it was to hide the tension in his eyes. Being the highest-ranking commander here, he knew he had to greet me, but whether he was nervous is another story. Hello, I'm the company commander here. Lin Chuan stood at attention, raising his hand in a textbook salute. Thank you both so much for your help. I nodded slightly. As a response, There wasn't really any other way. I can understand human language, but I can't speak. So some things I just had to keep to myself for now. But it's fine. I was human in my past life, so I know exactly how people think. Lin Chuan's choice of words just now was smart. He focused on gratitude, didn't try to take control, didn't rush to ask, "What are you? Do you answer to me?" A man who knows the situation, and as for the army behind him, and all the greater powers at play, I coiled quietly, observing without giving anything away, studying. This company commander standing in front of me, doing his best to act calm. I slowly began to form a first impression. No need to rush for cooperation. Let's just see how things go. Honestly, I was just as nervous inside. I might have escaped alive from the humans' wine cellars and survived being hunted by their hunters. But deep down, I still didn't want to be enemies with humanity, especially after meeting this girl Su Nyan. In my heart, she feels just like a little sister. Living side by side all this time has kept that spark of humanity alive deep in my soul. I don't want to become a beast that only knows how to kill. Zhang Da board lay next to me. Once I'd given the order, he naturally wouldn't attack the people in front of us. He just narrowed his eyes, watching in silence. Lin Chuan studied our behavior for a while and was amazed in secret. He could tell that both Su Nyan and Zhang Da treated me, the giant snake, as the center. We'd exchanged greetings and seen each other face to face. Once both sides finished cleaning up the battlefield, we all headed toward the refugee camp together. I dragged along the biggest corpse Zhu Laoda's. Zhu Lao was carried on Zhang Dia's back. The rest of the soldiers, knowing there were many old or young in camp, and not enough food, teamed up in groups of 3 or 5 to carry back the armored beasts' carcasses, making their way back step by step. As the troop entered the refugee camp, over 3,000 people erupted with excitement. Crying and cheers blended together non-stop. Many dropped to their knees in tears. Their country hadn't abandoned them, and neither had their government. All the hardship and suffering of these days, the pain of losing homes and loved ones, finally had an outlet for release. The armored beast meat was quickly processed and distributed to everyone. With over 3,000 mouths to feed, no matter how much food there was, it would not last long. But at least tonight, everyone could get a full meal. With the arrival of the company, the refugees finally learned what was going on outside. The whole world had been shattered by a massive earthquake, everything left in ruins. Human casualties were enormous, and basic infrastructure was mostly destroyed. There were hardly any intact roads or bridges left. The devastation was everywhere. The Great Xia government responded immediately, every region shifting into self-rescue mode, setting up safe zones, fending off mutant beast attacks, while starting to rebuild their homes. Time flew by, and in a flash, 5 days passed. With the company's help, the refugees moved much faster. Everyone was eager to reach the safe zone as soon as possible, to rest, recover, and help those there build a new home. In these 5 days, I led Sun Yan and Zhang Da in sweeping the outer areas of hostile mutant beasts. Meanwhile, the awakened, now that the soldiers were keeping everyone safe, started proactively hunting, taking down any mutant animals in the area. Ding devoured a chunk of ironhide wild bull meat, gained 20 points of energy. Ding devoured a chunk of bloody fang wild boar meat, gained 15 points of energy. Ding devoured a moonshadow spirit cat, gained 50 points of energy. The constant hunting brought back prey one after another thanks to Su Dashan and the others, to be processed and cooked. Not only did that provide the refugees with plenty of food, but I also finally got to enjoy some cooked gourmet meals myself. Turns out this giant snake is quite the foodie. After these days together, Lin Chuan had figured out my temperament completely. To him, I wasn't just intelligent, but practically human, and a total gourmet with impossibly high standards. I wouldn't eat anything but delicacies, and never touch simple meals. Even though I looked fierce and terrifying, I was actually very gentle. Plenty of bold children in camp dared to come pet my scales, and I never got angry. Company Commander Tiger, this snake is a real foodie. Zhao Hu sat next to Ling Yuan, hugging his rifle. He gestured toward somewhere nearby with his mouth. Look at that big black bear next to him. Following his gaze, Bear One was squatting in front of a soldier, staring eagerly at the chocolate in the soldier's pocket. Not stealing, just standing there acting cute. Looking just like a giant golden retriever. Zhao Hu couldn't help but laugh. Every day he just strolls around the camp with nothing to do. As soon as he spots something tasty, he sticks around people and refuses to leave. Doesn't steal or make trouble, just acts spoiled. It's just too funny. Lin Chuan didn't laugh. He was silent for a while. His expression grew serious. All things have spirits. With this recent upheaval in the world, it's not surprising that some beasts, like the big snake, have gained intelligence. It's not strange. Not every mutated beast attacks humans. So this time when I return, I'll recommend to the higher-ups, these beings like the big snake and the black bear, even if we can't use them, we absolutely must not become enemies with them. Zhao Hu nodded and said softly, yeah, a beast with strength like the big snake. Once it stands against humanity, given our current situation, even if we could wipe them out, the price would be too great for us to bear. That's how every soldier here feels. Ding, devoured a gale rabbit. Gained 60 energy points. Gem level reached 100. Unable to gain more energy points. Once I finished off the last, gale rabbit roasted until it was sizzling with oil. I let out a deep belch. Watched Su dash and pack up the grill. My gaze grew ever more determined. It's time to leave. From what Ling Chuan said, we'll reach the nearest safe zone by tomorrow morning. Once there, Su Nian's family will finally be completely safe. With a new place to settle and call home, I've kept my original promise. Finish what you started. Send the Buddha all the way to the west. After wrapping up this matter, next I have to handle Bear One's revenge. I open the attribute panel and glance at the energy value column. 12,375 points, which converts to over 240 upgrade points, evolution points. But I don't plan to exchange energy points just yet. There's no risk of overflow right now. I'll save them up. Attribute upgrades need evolution points. Skills upgrades also require evolution points. Looks like I earn a lot every day, but there are even more places to spend them. Yet the biggest question bothering me always comes down to these two words, lifespan. Now I'm already an advanced beast soldier, but my lifespan is only 15 years. I can't understand, I'm already a mutant beast. Why am I still limited to the age of a normal snake? From my previous life as a snake catcher, I knew very well, wild king cobras can live nearly 30 years. Those raised in captivity live even longer. But the lifespan marked by the system is less than that of a normal snake. It's obvious. This sneaky system has manipulated the lifespan attribute. As for what its plans are, I can't see through them for now. Never mind, what's the point overthinking it? At least the system has no malice toward me. Without it, I'd probably still be soaking in that wine jar. Having 15 years of life is already pretty good. It'll increase after leveling up. A person should know to repay kindness. Even as a snake, I shouldn't be ungrateful. I muttered to myself. Honestly, if it wasn't for this personality, in my previous life I wouldn't have sacrificed myself to save a drowning child. At the cost of my own life. Boss, are you planning to leave? Bear One licked the corner of his mouth boredly, tasting the last hint of honey. After so many days of mooching, that honey the soldier brought has already been completely devoured by Bear One. But nobody minds. Everyone knows. These two big guys have been protecting the group, and always bring back plenty of game. Using a bit of honey to reward this big cutie is pretty much an unspoken rule. Yeah, it's about time. And you, aren't you always wanting revenge? Don't think I don't know. I looked up at the star-filled sky. Over this month since being reborn, in the beginning, I was constantly on the run, never having time to ponder the meaning of life. After meeting Su Nian's family, it became more about wanting to repay gratitude, and then striving to become stronger, to protect myself and those around me. But escorting refugees along the way, I found myself thinking more and more often, what do I really want? Is it just something simple? Just simply living?
Saying living sounds hollow.
But actually, doing it is far from simple. Day after day, year after year, I have to find a direction eventually. Especially since my situation is so complicated. Clearly a human soul, yet trapped in the body of a snake. Should I become a real human or a genuine snake? Both roads seem impossible to me. So these days, even surrounded by people, I felt an unprecedented loneliness and confusion. In my past life, I was just aimless. A guy who drifted through life. Never wished for riches or fame. Just wanted safety and peace. Classic little citizen mindset. But in this life, even the simplest wish is both easy and hard to achieve. Easy because of the system. Compared to the past, with no education, no background, and no connections. No family to rely on. No resources to rely on myself either. Now I'm exponentially stronger. Hard because of a simple reason. 5 words, I'm not human anymore. Got seen through by the boss. Bear One scratched his head, a little embarrassed. Back then, he submitted to me without hesitation. It was simply because he recognized my strength. I could help him get revenge, and let him act tough by association. His current happy life is all thanks to following me. If it weren't for that hatred deep inside him constantly reminding him, this guy would have long drowned himself in honey and good times, and forgotten all about his troubles. On the other side of the camp, Sunayan sat alone in the shelter, eyes closed, quietly sensing the mysterious aura in the air. These days, after eating lots of mutant beast meat with me, his body has changed noticeably. He's gotten much stronger and moves with incredible agility. Although I haven't taught him any formal cultivation methods, I did hand over all the techniques I've figured out along the way. How to draw in spiritual energy and trigger resonance. I passed them on without holding anything back to this first disciple. After all, when it comes to sensing an affinity for spiritual energy, I'd rank myself second in this group. No one would claim first. Sweat beads formed densely on Sunayan's forehead. Even though spring has already arrived, the nights are still chilly. He, on the other hand, was steaming with heat. A faint white mist surrounded him. His cultivation was progressing well. Dashan girl, is he going to be all right? Su Logan was peering around outside the shack. He looked worried. Sudashan squatted nearby and watched for a while. His eyes were full of surprise and joy. Dad is fine. He's entered a cultivation state. He should be about to break through. Our Su family is about to have an awakened person too. After these days of travel, Su Dashan, who is now part of the team's management, also heard from those awakened individuals and learned a bit about breakthroughs. I could sense the spiritual energy fluctuations over there as well. I turned to glance at the Su family's shack. Not just me, the other awakened people in the camp also noticed something strange. Everyone turned to look. That girl finally awakened tonight. Half a month later, a giant python, a towering black bear, and a little girl with a ponytail, leisurely and relaxed, arrived at the bank of a 100-meter-wide river. The river was surging. Murky waters hid strong currents below the surface. On both sides were rolling mountains and nearly 100-meter-tall cliffs. The only way across was this reed-filled riverbank. The big bear Daojian stopped walking. His eyes were fixed on the river. His voice was so low it seemed squeezed out of his chest. That creature is hiding in this river. Bear Mom was right here, trying to give me time to escape, when she got dragged into the water by him. His eyes were full of fury and hatred deep to the bone. Back then, Daojian was even bigger than Bear Mom, but he was only half a year old. No matter how fast he grew, his fighting skills and survival abilities were nowhere near his mother's. He saw with his own eyes as the panda was completely overpowered by that thing, unable to fight back at all. In the end, it disappeared beneath the river without even making a splash. Just vanished like that? He waited by the riverbank for days. He kept hoping the panda would still resurface alive. But the river just kept flowing. There was never any sign. In the end, all he could do was leave, full of disappointment and hatred. He set off on a path of exile. Every road he took from then on, every tree, every landmark, he memorized in his mind. He was afraid he would forget the way back. Afraid that if he ever gained the strength one day, he wouldn't be able to find the place for revenge. Until he met me in Illusion Spirit Valley, the giant crocodile. Based on the system feedback from Zhang Dai's memories, that creature was enormous and terrifying. By my estimate, it was at least 6 or 7 meters long. Even among crocodiles, it was a true giant. But even though it was a big one, I can't say I was afraid. With my current strength, dealing with a crocodile like that shouldn't be a big problem. Master, this place is so remote. Su Nian jumped down from Zhang Dai's back, gently patted his face. Zhang Da, your enemy lives in this river. Zhang Dai nodded heavily. After spending so much time together, he could already communicate simply with Su Nian. Now that he had reached intermediate beast soldier level, he had become much smarter as well. I ignored their conversation and activated Heavenly Eye radar instead, scanning the river and both banks with all my power. Soon, near the radar's edge about 2 kilometers away, a huge blue light spot appeared. Blue means danger. I hadn't had a warning in that color for a long time. I stuck out my tongue, carefully studying the data for that light spot. In the 3D image, a giant crocodile was clearly displayed. Its massive body, over a dozen meters long, was lurking silently underwater. Its broad back was like a small island, covered with thick scales that looked like they were forged from steel. Beside it was another smaller crocodile, about 6 or 7 meters long. That should be the one who killed Zhang Die's mother. But according to the radar analysis, the smaller one was marked white, almost no threat at all. What really concerned me was the big one. I pulled up its detailed stats. Species: Ancient Imperial Crocodile. Realm: Junior Beast General. Length: 14 meters. Weight: 8,200 kilograms. Max strength: 412. Max armor: 389. Skills: Death Roll, Steel Armor Body, Stealth Hunt. Just as expected, a Junior Beast General. No wonder my radar flagged it blue. Its strength alone had reached the Beast General level, and its armor was at the peak of Beast Soldier class. Offense and defense all in one. It was going to be a tough one. But I haven't been idle these past weeks. With all the energy I've accumulated from hunting along the way, I've got enough to exchange for about 845 evolution points. I can break through to Beast General at any time. As long as I step into the Beast General realm, this crocodile will be no threat at all. With all stats maxed out, killing it will just be a matter of time. Of course, there's another option: Psychic Illusion. Its psychic power is way lower than mine, so controlling it with illusions shouldn't be a problem. The trouble is, there's nothing nearby that could actually threaten it. Even if I made it hurt itself in an illusion, killing such a massive crocodile wouldn't be easy. So the safest plan is to break through to Beast General first. After all, with the system in hand, at the same rank, I'm basically invincible. Master, did you find something? Su Nian looked at me, sensing the tense atmosphere in the air, and asked, "Yeah, a little trouble." I nodded, and looked at Zhang Da. "I found your enemy, but I'm not quite ready to take it on yet. Tonight, let's find a safe place first. You two help me stand guard. Once I make the breakthrough, that guy will be our meal." Zhang Die's eyes immediately lit up. As long as it's found, that's enough. One more day, or 2, it doesn't matter. After waiting all these years, what's one more night? He patted his chest, his voice full of repressed excitement. "Boss, same as always. Just focus on your breakthrough. With me and this girl here, anyone who dares bother you will have to step over my dead body first." "Master, you're breaking through again?" Su Nian laughed too, though he sounded full of emotion. Up until now, he had only just reached junior warrior level. Even though his flying blade skills kept improving, and he could keep up sparring with Zhang Da, he knew very well his body was still not on the same level as the beasts. even though he'd eaten a lot of exotic beast flesh along the way. As a human, his body just can't absorb spiritual energy as efficiently as beasts can. If not for his aptitude in training, which really was above Zhang Die's, letting him absorb energy even just a little faster, Zhang Da would have left him far behind by now. A human losing to a big bear would be expected, but compared to his freak of a master, he couldn't even imagine it. Honestly, I should have broke him through days ago. I've just been holding it back, I replied offhandedly. Su Nian rolled his eyes. Figures my master is an absolute monster? Actually, I still have another trump card, Bloodline Burn, but the skills boost is limited right now. Doubling my stats sounds good, but each time costs 1,000 energy points, which could be exchanged for 20 evolution points. If I have to use it in a life or death fight, it's a real waste. Every point of energy is hard-earned now. I have to use it wisely. If I can avoid wasting it, I will. Besides, the side effects of Bloodline Burn are too harsh.
10 minutes of use.
Means an hour of weakness. As a proud, mighty serpent, how could I allow myself to be weak and helpless? I have to be strong at all times. Unless it's truly desperate, I'll never use that skill lightly. Let's go find somewhere safe, and maybe hunt something to fill our bellies. Tonight, once I break through, tomorrow I'll help you get your revenge. And have some roast crocodile while I'm at it. Zhang Da nodded. He looked out over the wide river and the rushing waters that flowed east. His mood was as buoyant as the rippling water. The enemy had been found, and with the boss's assurance, reclaiming his revenge would happen in just a day or two. What's the rush? He crouched down, let Su Nian and his gear on his back, and calmly followed behind me, heading toward the hills at a relaxed pace. On the way, I kept Heavenly Eye radar running the whole time, avoiding areas where there might be people as much as possible. But in times like these, after the apocalypse, ruins and broken walls are everywhere. In some villages, there are only wild and mutated animals left, and totally transformed beasts. Running into a living human has actually become rare. Since the catastrophe, with the resurgence of spiritual energy, truly, all beings are equal. I sighed softly. Once bustling villages, and small towns where you could hear chickens and dogs, were now desolate and devoid of the slightest trace of life. Bones littered the road, a shocking sight. Without humans living here, and with spiritual energy filling the world, it's the plants that benefit first. They are growing crazily, even though it's only been a month since the catastrophe. From cracks in the road, and under crumbling walls, seedlings of all sorts are already sprouting up, beginning to take over and spread. I can imagine, maybe in less than a year, these empty villages and towns will be completely taken over by plants. Ruins wrapped in vines, becoming beast lairs. With their reproduction rate, without human interference, they'll take their world back, not just a dream anymore. Master, it's so deserted here. Way too quiet. Riding on Zhang Dia's back, Su Nian looked at the ruined village ahead, frowning deeply. While his family was safe in the protected zone, as a fellow human, facing all this devastation, he couldn't help but feel anxious. Girl, there's nothing that can be done. It's survival of the fittest. Only the strong live. If you want to protect your family, you have to be strong enough to do it. With the world changing like this, the strong are in charge. Whoever has the biggest fist is king, understand? Su Nian nodded, but didn't say much. Even though for the past half-month,
He has been trying his best to appear happy in front of me.
the suppression in his heart was something I could feel clearly through our mental link. Regarding this mental knot, I am not a psychologist and cannot do much to resolve it. People all have to grow up. Just like myself, in the months since my rebirth, haven't I also had knots that couldn't be untied? Among the three, the one with the least mental burden was Shangda. Seeing that his great revenge was about to be settled, he just loafed around following the boss, carefree, like a child, with a heartless and mindless appearance. Looking here and there, he couldn't be happier. Shangda, I said gloomily, go clean up the clutter in that room. We'll stay here for the night. If the boss himself isn't happy, How can the subordinate be so heartless? It's absolutely not allowed. Okay, boss, Zhang Da replied naively, not hearing the displeasure in my tone at all. He was still immersed in the joy of his revenge being near. To him, the boss's orders were like imperial decrees. He just needed to get it done. At night, a campfire was lit in the courtyard. Some hunted small wild animals and mutated beasts were placed on a simple barbecue rack. Under the fine control and roasting of Su Nian the telekinetic, the delicious aroma of meat filled the entire small village. But no matter how inviting the fragrance was, it didn't attract a single mutated beast. The reason was simple. Within a 1-kilometer radius, almost everything that could be hunted had been wiped out. Part went into the stomachs of Zhang Da and me, and the rest were lined up here waiting to be barbecued. Zhang Da saved some for me. It's so delicious. Seeing large chunks of roasted meat being swallowed by me mouthful after mouthful, Zhang Da got anxious. He hadn't even finished gnawing one piece, while I had already finished 3 large ones. Isn't this bullying a bear? No, absolutely not. With such delicious roast meat, he had to ask the boss to show some mercy. As for snatching food, Zhang Da didn't have the guts. Although he knew his paws likely wouldn't be roasted. What if? After spending time together, he had figured out my temperament. As long as it wasn't a matter of principle, everything else was basically casual. So now he also dared to throw a tantrum in front of me, acting cute and spoiled. Look at you, acting like a bear. Fine, I'm done eating. The rest is all yours. It's time for me to break through. Looking at those rolling little eyes, staring at me with a pitiful look, I couldn't help but find it funny. This guy looks honest on the surface, but he actually has many little schemes. I wasn't the only one amused. Su Nian, standing nearby, was also giggling uncontrollably while covering her mouth. With the experience from the last breakthrough, this time was quite familiar. I went into the cleaned room, exchanged accumulated energy for enough evolution points, and filled all the attribute bars. The system's promotion prompt then sounded in my mind. Attribute values have reached the breakthrough threshold. The host can find a safe area to proceed with the breakthrough. External spiritual energy concentration meets the standard. This breakthrough will take 2 hours. It will draw a large amount of spiritual energy within a 10 kilometers radius, forming a spiritual energy storm to cleanse the host's physical body. I was slightly stunned. The last breakthrough took 1 hour and covered a 5 kilometers radius. This time it has doubled. As expected, with every breakthrough of a major realm, the difficulty climbs sharply. After confirming to start the breakthrough, countless streams of spiritual energy began to converge frantically toward my location. In the world within a 10 kilometers radius, spiritual energy was attracted as if by a massive vortex, surging in with great momentum. Master has started. Su Nian took out a set of alloy blades from his luggage. This was a gift specifically from Director Tong of the Security Bureau, when he registered his information at the safe zone last time. As an extremely rare telekinetic, he received special attention. 20 alloy blades hovered around him, flickering with a cold light. Zhang Da also looked back at the room I was in, immediately stopped eating, and went on high alert. If anyone wants to disturb the boss's breakthrough, they'll have to step over my dead body first. As most of the spiritual energy within 10 kilometers was drawn toward my location, many mutated beasts in the night were disturbed. The closer to my location, the greater the spiritual energy vacuum became, while the spiritual energy in the central area became frighteningly thick. Having the previous experience, Zhang Da was no longer surprised by this commotion, quietly standing guard, while absorbing the residual spiritual energy along the way. With every breath, his body was filled with power. Su Nian, however, was seeing this kind of scene for the first time. When he advanced to Junior Warrior last time, and when Zhang Da broke through to Ultimate Beast Soldier, it seemed neither had produced a spiritual energy storm of this scale. Although spiritual energy, like air, is invisible and intangible, as an awakened, he could clearly feel that the surrounding spiritual energy was now almost solidified, even forming a vortex. And the center of the vortex was exactly where I was. As expected of Master, even a breakthrough is extraordinary. But the more it was so, the stronger the sense of crisis in his heart. Such a large-scale fluctuation of spiritual energy would definitely attract extraordinary mutated beasts. And one cannot be distracted during a breakthrough, let alone be interrupted. He and Zheng Da must do their utmost to hold the line. Time passed bit by bit. In the small village that was originally cleared, shadows of mutated creatures began to appear. Guided by the waves of spiritual energy fluctuations, they cautiously approached my location. However, the massive telekinetic power I emitted during the breakthrough formed a soul pressure that had covered a range of about 4 kilometers. The closer those lurkers got to the center, the more they felt an unease that reached their bones. Some cowardly beasts advanced a short distance and then, unable to bear the pressure, turned and fled. Only a few high-level, fearless fellows, clinging to a sense of luck, explored forward step by step with caution. Leading the way were a 10-foot-tall Herculean bull and a gale green sheep, followed by a group of large and small mutated beasts, slowly advancing. Nowadays, the most common mutated beasts in the wild are pigs, cows, chickens, sheep, cats, dogs, ducks, and geese, those livestock and poultry once raised by humans. They are the most numerous, so their probability of mutation is the highest. Those 2 ultimate beast soldiers stopped on a hillside a kilometer away from the village. Reaching this point, they fully understood that a big shot was breaking through. That massive mental pressure made them extremely uncomfortable. Being able to hold on here already showed that their pressure resistance was quite formidable. A new king is about to be born. The mutated beasts scattered around the village all had this suspicion in their hearts. Although they each had their own hidden agendas, at this moment none dared to act without authorization. They were waiting. If the fellow inside succeeded in the breakthrough, they would flee immediately. After all, not every high-level beast has the habit of taking subordinates. Moreover, intruding into the core area during someone's breakthrough is a blatant provocation, a fight to the death. But if the breakthrough failed, it would be a God-given opportunity. Failure inevitably leads to backlash. If not dead, they would be heavily injured. Hunting a being of a higher rank than oneself is usually a pipe dream, but taking advantage of a moment of heavy injury, there is a slim chance of success. The flesh and blood of high-level beasts are a great tonic for them, and could even make them advance on the spot. As for the large black bear guarding outside, and that 2-legged beast, in the eyes of these dozens of mutated beasts, they were not a problem at all. I kept a sliver of consciousness to monitor the movements outside. The commotion caused by this breakthrough was indeed not small, but what truly made me uneasy were not these minor fry. A mysterious sixth sense was constantly warning me that this breakthrough was much more dangerous than the last. And the source of danger was not within the detection range of the Sky Eye radar. Ultimately, I could only think of one possibility: the ancient earth crocodile I observed in the river during the day. Of course, whether there were other beast general level existences within 10 kilometers, I couldn't be certain. Except for the route detected when coming here, the rest of the area is unknown to me. But based on my understanding from my past and present lives, the higher the level of an existence, the larger the territory it occupies. Just like myself, if I were to seize an area without a sufficiently vast territory, food alone wouldn't be enough to sustain me. Draining the pond to catch all the fish is unsustainable. To obtain resources and increase strength in the long term, one must fight others for territory. So, if nothing goes wrong, this sense of unease is brought about by that earth crocodile. Not just me. Big Bear and Sunain also felt that in the air, there was an extra hint of inexplicable oppression. A chill rose straight up from the solace of their feet. My hypothesis was not wrong. Even though the landing spot I chose was already far enough away from the Great River. As it happened, the distance was exactly a bit over 10 kilometers. That ancient earth crocodile, originally wandering leisurely and foraging on the opposite bank, After eating until it was half full, it crossed the great river to this side of the shore, preparing to grab a few more bites. Just then, a faint fluctuation of spiritual energy caught its attention. As a beast's general level existence, its perception of spiritual energy is much sharper than that of ordinary beast soldiers. With a bit of curiosity, the ancient earth crocodile moved its four short, thick legs, slowly moving toward the direction of the spiritual energy fluctuation, while devouring any prey that stumbled into its path along the way. The closer it got to the center, the more familiar this spiritual energy fluctuation felt to it. After finishing off an unlucky small wild boar, it finally remembered. Isn't this exactly the feeling it experienced back when it made its own breakthrough? Except back when it advanced, it hadn't caused such a large-scale spiritual energy storm. The ancient earth crocodile's eyes gradually narrowed. Ever since it inexplicably appeared here, from its original world by some freak of nature, it found this place to be absolute paradise. Aside from the extremely thin spiritual energy, there were almost no opponents that could rival it. In its original world, it was just a minor lackey, but here, it was the absolute overlord. Until the recent great earthquake, spiritual energy finally began to recover, slowly approaching the concentration it was familiar with. Everything within a 10-mile radius was its territory. In this area, it would never allow a competitor of the same level to appear. So it lifted its four short legs, increased its speed, and hurried toward the center of the spiritual energy fluctuation. Time passed minute by minute. The critical moment for the breakthrough had arrived here as well. When on the edge of the Sky Eye radar, the blue light representing the ancient earth crocodile appeared. Nearly an hour and a half had already passed. It wasn't that the earth crocodile's speed was slow. When it discovered the spiritual energy fluctuation, I had already been in the breakthrough bottleneck for nearly an hour. Plus, it was delayed by foraging on the road, and calculating the energy consumed by resisting, the soul pressure brought by my mental power range. If its speed wasn't fast enough, and its pressure resistance wasn't strong enough, it would probably still be halfway there right now. Inside the ancient earth crocodile's heart, it also wavered repeatedly between surprise and hesitation. The closer it got to the center of the spiritual energy, the more intense the tremors from the soul became, making it difficult to breathe and hard to move. Every step forward was heavier than the last. Its physical instincts were screaming frantically, "Turn back, it's extremely dangerous ahead." But another voice was also shouting, "If I don't take advantage of this guy's breakthrough to interfere, while he's preoccupied, once the opponent successfully advances, nothing good will be waiting for me." The ancient earth crocodile finally chose the latter.
It was unwilling to give up.
The territory in paradise it had worked so hard to get, nor was it willing to return to those days of being a weakling bullied by others. This was its home, and it would never allow anything else to seize it. "Oh no, danger!" When Big Bear saw the massive figure appearing in the village, the fur all over his body stood on end instantly. That ancient earth crocodile's 14-meter-long body was, even a section larger than Big Bear's, with thick scales, glinting with a cold luster under the moonlight. The sense of oppression it exuded seemed no less than mine in Big Bear's eyes, perhaps even greater. Soon Nyan was also stunned. Aside from me, it was his first time seeing such a massive mutated beast with his own eyes. Although the alloy blades around him were spinning at high speed with his mental power, their trajectories were slightly unstable. After all, he's just a child of about 10 years old. Facing a monster of this level, being able to not turn and run is already quite impressive. If it were any other peer, they would have likely wet their pants and wailed in fear long ago. I was also extremely anxious. This ancient earth crocodile indeed lived up to its name. Facing my mental pressure, those spectating mutated beasts didn't even dare to leave the shadows. But it not only charged into the village, forcing its way through the pressure, but it had also seen through my current paper tiger state, and was preparing to launch a fatal blow. The mutated beasts hiding in the shadows were also shocked. The overlord of this vicinity was actually drawn out. That unlucky fellow at the center of the spiritual energy Must be suffering from 8 lifetimes of bad luck. Faster, faster! I prayed secretly in my heart. Breakthrough speed, be faster. Big Bear and Sunayan couldn't stop this earth crocodile at all. Even if they rushed up, they would just be throwing their lives away. With my strength as a high-level beast soldier, I wasn't its match in terms of physical body, let alone them. The ancient earth crocodile looked at the beast and human blocking its way, disdain appearing in its eyes. From these two guys, it couldn't feel any fatal threat. Just two small fry, easy to clear out. Big Bear stared intently at the giant crocodile, not daring to attack recklessly, only letting out constant low growls as a warning. Sunayan also forced himself to suppress his surging panic. The flying blades around him finally stopped wobbling, turning into meteor-like trajectories, revolving around his body, ready to strike at any moment. Nervous as they were, they absolutely could not let this guy break into that courtyard. Master's breakthrough had reached the most critical moment. It must not fail now. This was the only thought in Big Bear and Sunayan's minds at this moment. The ancient earth crocodile seemed to have seen through their thoughts as well. It glanced toward the guarded room, killing intent suddenly intensifying in its eyes. It couldn't wait any longer. If it delayed any further, it would be the one finished. With a roar, the earth crocodile charged, its front claw slamming down toward Big Bear. Seeing the giant crocodile charging, Big Bear could only brace himself and meet it head-on, while not forgetting to look back at Sunayan, signaling him to coordinate. Sunayan nodded. The blades around him turned into flashes of light, at extremely high speed, pouncing toward the earth crocodile's body from various tricky angles. At the same time, I also felt the speed of the breakthrough accelerating. It was as if the system sensed my anxiety. The infusion of spiritual energy became even more violent. A continuous stream of energy was greedily absorbed by my body. The flesh, constantly tearing and reorganizing, was growing larger and stronger inch by inch. But the battle outside was not optimistic. Sunayan's alloy blades, although able to cause some interference to the earth crocodile, couldn't break through that extremely tough layer of scales at all, only leaving shallow scratches on them. Some of the blades even had chips broken off. Big Bear was even worse off. Time and again, he was sent flying 20 or 30 meters away by the crocodile's tail. Yet he crawled back up every time, pouncing back despite being covered in blood. The ancient earth crocodile was also becoming infuriated. This big stupid bear was like he didn't value his life. His body was nearly beaten to a pulp, yet he kept charging up again and again. And whenever it wanted to ignore him and first deal with Sunayan, the little two-legged creature controlling the flying blades, Big Bear would block the way again like he was crazy. The battle became increasingly brutal during the stalemate. Big Bear was now almost at his wit's end. Although he was not far from me, and could benefit from the attribute aura's buff, barely possessing the combat power of a high-level beast soldier,
He was after all facing a beast general-level existence.
any casual strike from the opponent was not something he could take head-on. He was only relying on a fierce stubbornness to not fall, stalling for time again and again. Sunan had also reached his limit, continuously controlling 20 flying blades for high-intensity attacks, drained his mental power and physical strength tremendously. Especially facing a giant beast of this level, the physical and mental exhaustion was many times greater than in a normal battle. Watching my top underling and first disciple narrowly escaping danger, hanging by a thread, my heart was as tense as it could be. But I was powerless, unable to move a muscle. Just as Di was charging toward the courtyard wall, Zhang Da and Sunayan were no longer able to stop him. The final surge of spiritual energy rushed into my body. The bottleneck shattered instantly. Breakthrough success. Ding! Congratulations to the host for leveling up. Your life's level has ascended. Perfect promotion in one go. Rewards. 1. System storage X1. Current capacity, 100 cubic units. Level, 1. Can use evolution points to expand space. Vacuum state. Can only store dead objects. Items can be preserved indefinitely. 2. Cultivation technique. Spirit secret formula zoni. Mastering it increases spiritual energy absorption rate. Effects can be increased up to 10 times. By guiding energy to refine the body,
Can increase physical strength.
this technique can be learned by any race, can be taught through mental power. Effect varies from person to person. System data updated. Please pay attention to changes. Nice. Another storage space. And a new technique. This level up reward is truly remarkable. With the system space, I can store a large amount of food. No more hunting every time I'm hungry. Much more convenient. And that spirit secret formula finally gives me real confidence to be a true master. After being a master for so long, I never had anything proper to teach Su Nyan. Honestly, I always felt bad about it. Now I finally have something to pass on. And after this promotion, my single meal energy intake limit has increased to 1,200 points. Digestion time is only 4 hours. As long as there's enough food, the total daily energy gained will increase substantially. But the exchange rate is now 100 to 1,100. Energy points for just one evolution point. This system is way too stingy. It's practically robbery. I complained in my heart, but it's just words. After all, each major breakthrough is a matter of life and death. But the rewards are solid. High risk, high reward. That's all there is to it. My whole body is filled with power. My coiled body nearly filled the whole room, wider at the thickest part than the door. I have to squeeze hard to get out. It goes without saying just how massive I am now. 245 evolution points left. Max out my strength first. I made the decision immediately. Right now, I don't want to use any skills. I just want a good, old-fashioned physical beatdown. Not only were Su Nian and Zhang Da in danger just now, my own heart was racing wildly, pounding non-stop. Time to settle the score. At the same time, the ancient Emperor Croc felt it. A terrifying aura suddenly erupted from inside the house, like a giant eye opened in the abyss. A threat of death instantly enveloped him. His steps halted abruptly. He raised his massive head and cautiously looked toward the house. His sixth sense screamed like crazy. Gotta go, right now. If I don't leave now, it'll be too late. Emperor Yi hesitated for a moment, and finally retreated instinctively, turned around to leave. Too late, bang. My huge body burst through the wall, shattering bricks flying like rain. I opened my bloody maw, and charged at the croc at full speed. When the ancient earth croc saw how big I was, its pupils shrank sharply. How can this guy be so big? Causing trouble for a beast this size. That's like an old man taking poison because he thinks he's lived too long. But it's too late for regrets. From the moment I broke through the wall, his fate was sealed. With perfect stat crush, the ancient Emperor Croc in every way was no match for me anymore. I flashed right in front of him and bit down hard on his body, injecting a huge amount of venom at the same time. Then my whole body wrapped around him like a constrictor, entwining the croc even thicker than me, squeezing tighter and tighter. The croc instinctively launched a death roll, trying to break free from my hold. But the venom was already spreading. His body quickly went numb and sluggish, and his strength faded fast. The crushing force kept pressing his organs, making it harder and harder to breathe. Boss is so strong. He took down that beast with one strike. Didn't let it fight back at all. Awesome! Zhang Da ignored his own intense pain and stared wide-eyed at the scene, filled with emotion. Su Nian also watched the clash between the two beasts, only to realize this was no real fight. It was a silent, overwhelming slaughter. The one being crushed was the same one who had just demolished him and Zhang Da, the ancient Emperor Croc. Right now he felt utterly weak all over, leaning powerless against a streetlight, gasping breath after breath, recovering a little bit of strength at a time. Controlling 20 flying blades intensely for so long was a huge drain for him. In the distance, those watching mutant beasts, when they saw Emperor Yi get suppressed without any resistance, already knew what would happen next. So without thinking, they bolted, afraid they'd be next. They came cheerfully, but left in utter panic. I glanced at the injuries of Zhang Da and Su Nian. Su Nian was alright. At least he could still stand. But Zhang Da was in bad shape, covered in wounds, blood pouring everywhere. Even his ears, nose, and mouth were bleeding. Die, The fury in my heart erupted. If the system hadn't completed my promotion just in time, my fate right now would probably be like Zhong Die's. Or even worse, my massive body looked clumsy, but moved faster than the eye could see. The ancient croc barely had time to react before I squeezed even harder, crushing its bones with sickening cracks. Its struggles grew weaker and weaker as time passed. Finally, the ancient Emperor Croc fell silent, its enormous body completely lifeless. With a thought, the system storage opened like a mini black hole and swallowed the Croc's body whole, leaving nothing behind, not even a drop of blood on the ground. Resourcefulness should be used where it counts.